B'Shem Hashem na'aseh v'natzliach, Shiur Torah, Bruchim Habayim. We are back in Sunny Isles, Florida, for our Shiur, Stump the Rabbi, where B'ezrat Hashem you guys will ask some questions and HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give us some answers to give you. The Shiur tonight will be for a Refuah Shlema for Levana Bat Sarah, Rav Ephraim ben Shulamit, Rabbanit Sarah Bat Anat, Yitro ben Avraham, Rafael ben Chana, David ben Esriya, Doris bat Jora, Dvora bat Mercedes, Esther bat Tzipora, Serach bat Batya, Batya bat Sarah, and all of Am Yisrael B'ezrat Hashem will have Refuah Shlema, Refuat HaNefesh, Refuat HaGuf. So Baruch Hashem, the Peilut continues, the Kiruv revolution continues. Many people, Baruch Hashem, are getting our videos one way or the other. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us a gift where He not only made us shlichim to deliver His Torah in a generation that needs it more than ever, but also He gave us different periodic gifts, and one of them is this coronavirus. Not that chas v'shalom we want anyone to die or even get hurt, but many people are forced over the last couple of months to analyze their life. What's the point? Why am I here? What is the purpose of my life? Okay, so I made money, now what? Okay, so I got married, now what? Okay, so I had kids, now what? A lot of people are asking themselves this question, now what? Where do I go from here? Okay, so I make money, and I'll make more money, and I'll lose money, and make more. Okay, no, then what? Okay, I get married, hopefully stay married, then what? The kids, okay, they're cute, little. Eventually they grow up and they become big kids, and then they have their own lives. You can't live vicariously through your kids forever. Point is, you have to ask yourself, why are you here? Not why all of them are here. And if it's about money, then what if you didn't have money? And if it's about a skill, what if that skill was taken away from you? You know, there's all types of things that people build their life on, and one day HaKadosh Baruch Hu shakes them up and makes them realize that this pyramid that you built your whole life on in reality was a house full of straws, that it just didn't work out. So this coronavirus is making, thank you, this coronavirus is making many people question themselves, because a lot of people have seen their foundation collapse. You know, I had one guy contact me, really nice guy, said he was making $5-10 million a year, doing all business and so on. He says, as soon as the whole situation with coronavirus happened, pretty much his business went down 99%. Like right now, he's like middle class. You're still okay. You make $5-10 million, a lot of money, so you go down to $100,000-$200,000 a year. You're not starving. You have food to eat. You know what the problem is? He doesn't have middle class expenses. Because when you have $5-10 million income, you have $10 million expenses. That kind of lifestyle. So which means that he's struggling even more than people that were making $50,000, $60,000 a year. Because the debt and the so on. And he's like, I don't know what to do myself. What do I do? Other people had good jobs, 5, 10, 15, 20-year careers. The company tells them, thank you for your service, but we don't need you anymore. What do you mean? I've been here for 20 years. Yeah, thanks. But I thought you guys liked me. We do. That's what we're saying, thanks. People losing their jobs like flies. And if you guys think this is the end of it, you're dreaming. Simply because right now, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is shaking up the world in such a way that the whole system is changing. Already there's news that major corporations in the technology sector and the engineering sector and many other major sectors in the world are now reconsidering their whole thought process behind, the location of their employees, because they're seeing that in reality they don't need their employees to come to these huge multi-million-dollar buildings anymore, because they do just as much work and maybe even more from home. So now they're saying, listen, so that not only changes our perspective of whether we're going to continue expanding physically as far as buying more buildings, but on top of that, that also changes our perspective of whether we even need to hire the local people that if you're in New York, you're in San Francisco, you're in Los Angeles, you're in different places like that where it's a high income area, you want to hire somebody, you have to get ready to pay him $150,000, $200,000. Why? Because that's the cost of living. But if I'm a company and I have shareholders that are my boss and they want me to make sure that I continuously make more money, and I know that I can get an employee for $30,000, $40,000 from India, $30,000, $40,000 from China, $30,000, $40,000 from different parts of the world, because I don't need him to be next to me. And in fact, he may be more productive when he's working out of home in some place that's why not? And on top of that, I'm making money out of that. On top of that, I don't have to pay him $200,000. Who's better than you? All of a sudden, you become the biggest, greatest CEO in the world. But what does that mean to the economy? You start firing people by the tens of thousands. By the tens of thousands. The real estate sector will have a major collapse. Why? Commercial real estate is going to be affected by this. Companies are realizing that in reality, we don't need all the space. We thought we needed all this space because we had all these employees. Companies were buying more and more buildings, but in reality now, especially in America, where it's pretty much a service-based economy, we don't actually manufacture anything anymore here, or barely anything. They pretty much provide services. So we don't need the physical space anymore. I could just hire somebody from different countries, from different places, for half the money, don't need the building, so I save money on the building, I save money on the electricity. All I got to do is send this guy a $500 laptop. Who's better than you? And if you pay him $40,000 a year, he is happy as can be. Why? Because he was making $5 a year over there. So we're seeing the reality is that the economy is going to change. The economy is going to change drastically. That also means that the stock market is going to change drastically. Some companies will do extremely well. Many companies will do poorly for a little while. So this means that everybody's so-called nest egg is in question. But you won't see this in the market yet. I don't follow the market, but people tell me what it does. No one's told me what it's doing recently, at least the last couple of weeks, but I know that no one's told me it's crashed in the last couple of weeks, which means it hasn't crashed. But the market is not pricing that in. What I'm telling you is not priced in. I told everyone when I was in New York, right before Corona, the market is poised to crash because of all this thing that's happening with Corona that everyone's ignoring. Baruch shekivanu. That's in essence what started happening, but I believe things are going to get much worse. Why? Because again, it's not necessarily that the economy is going to go into a depression. Even though some very, very smart people are saying that the market in the world is going into a depression, I don't necessarily think that's the case. But that does not mean that the market won't drop 50%. And the reason why is because the market has been going up for 10 years in a row. And it got to a point where the valuation of major companies has gone so out of hand that they are basing the entire valuation on perfect expectations, meaning everything will go perfect. There's not going to be any major tornadoes, no hurricanes, no major financial crisis, no epidemic, nothing. Everything is going to go perfect. Well, as we've seen in the last couple of months, nothing's perfect. So the price of everything is based on everything being perfect, and therefore they're expecting a certain growth rate. Now that we see that things are not perfect, people just don't know how bad it's going to be, because they're assuming maybe as soon as we go back to work, in a week, in a month, in 2 months, in 6 months, whenever that happens, things will just go back to how they used to be. Wrong. Wrong. Why? Because again, companies, smart people are realizing that their plan needs to change, needs to adjust to this new type of economy. They don't need the same type of local employees. They don't need to pay people as much. If I could replace a $200,000 employee for $40,000, $50,000, and I don't have to look at them, they'll make the right articles about me, about how smart I am. Yeah, but you're ruining people's lives. Okay. Business is business. Business is business. So now people that were used to all this financial success are questioning, where do I go from here? Same thing goes with people that have gotten sick. 25, 35, 45 years old, felt perfectly healthy. All of a sudden, the person gets sick. They question, how long am I going to be in this life? Why? Until now, I didn't care about life. Why? I figured I'm going to be here 70, 80, 90, 100 years. But as soon as a person gets really sick, he has to go to the hospital, he starts feeling like he's going to die, starts questioning, how long am I going to be here? So a lot of people are getting to this point, Baruch Hashem, and we're perfectly positioned with the Torah Kedusha to give people the answers. The answer is, you're not going to find, you never had happiness to begin with. You just had a state of being elated, excited about different things that were happening. Happiness you never possessed, and anyone that's honest with themselves knows that. Unless you had Torah in your life. But not Torah in your life like you went to shul once or twice a week, or even every day, but you didn't learn Torah. Happiness comes from learning Torah every single day, and living by the Torah every single day. There are some people in the world that learn Torah every single day, but are 100% kufrim, 100% heretics. And you see it when you know them, that they're miserable. They learn Torah, but they're very, very miserable. Why? Because they learn Torah in order to beat the system. It's like someone learning the law in order to find out how to violate the law. Or learn the tax code to know how to cheat in taxes. Such a person is as miserable as it gets. So people are questioning themselves a lot. And Baruch Hashem, they're finding their answers in our shurim. You know, online has grown dramatically, Baruch Hashem. Now we have the CD campaign. We've already given close to 80,000 CDs in the last couple of weeks since Lag BaOmer. Of this new CD, we're trying to give out much more. Hopefully we'll complete another 120,000 before Shavuot. And B'ezrat Hashem, some other generous people will come through and help us fund the next campaign to try to maybe do 500,000 or maybe 1 million CDs. Because so far, the people that have gotten the CDs that are actually playing it are giving us fantastic feedback. Some of them have never heard from us, so this is the first time they're introduced to our work. Some of them are familiar but never saw these movies or this perspective. And it's amazing how people are waking up to the truth. One guy I spoke to today, he says to me, listen, I've been through my whole life, but once I saw your movie, I used to watch the whole thing. He said, it's an hour and 34 minutes. I said, okay, so you watched the whole thing. Everybody likes to tell me the time. An hour and 34 minutes. Yeah. He says, I'm through my whole life. But as soon as you started talking about seeing religious people in a casino, I said, he's right. It's true. It's true. We have something wrong with religious people. We have something wrong with us. Secular people, it's a given. You don't keep Shabbat. What's the difference between you and a goy? You don't keep kashrut. What's the difference between you and Mustafa? What's the difference? What makes you a Jew? My mommy is a Jew. Who said that makes you a Jew then? Who said that your mom being a Jew and it makes you a Jew? The Torah. Okay, Torah says keep Shabbat. Torah says keep kosher. Torah says also keep tarat mishpacha. So if you say that what makes you a Jew is your mom made you a Jew, that means you have to comply with the rest of the Torah. Oh, I didn't think about it that way. Okay, now you're thinking. Now you're thinking. But the guy said, listen, okay, the secular, well, we know we have a problem. But I never saw things the way you said it, where the religious communities have a problem. Why? He says, true. We look religious, we act religious, we do the mitzvot. But unfortunately, not everybody is fixed. Not everybody's 100%. You're still going to see a few guys at the casino. You're still going to see a few guys at the strip club. You're still going to see a few guys cheating in business. You're still going to see, I'm saying a few just to be nice. The fact that the entire cash advance industry is comprised of mainly people that call themselves religious is an embarrassment to Am Yisrael. But out of everyone that I know, I'm the only one that spoke against it. Other rabbis have called me about it, talked to me about it, says, we agree with you. I said, okay, so you agree with me, so make a lecture about it yourself. Talk about your kill. No, come on, it's not my style. What do you mean it's not your style? They're killing people. They're killing people. They're taking people and they're putting them in a condition where these people are going to lose every single penny they have. The second they miss payment. The second their business has a hiccup and they can't make the payment, the agreement that they have is simply going to destroy their life. People are declaring bankruptcy. One of my students that used to be, Baruch Hashem, used to be in the cash advance business, told me, good news, Rabbi. I said, what's the good news? He says, the cash advance business is collapsing. It's collapsing. They're all losing money. Why? All of the people. It's not like the random one here and there can make payments. No one can make payments. So when as one, two guys can't make payments, you have a lawyer on staff. He can handle all the cases, pretty much rob everyone. But when all of your clients pretty much can't make payments, or a large majority of them can't make payments, guess what happens? Your lawyer can't handle it, and you can't afford to get more lawyers. You know why? Because the bank that was giving you the money to give these people shut you down. Why? You have too many defaults. You have too many defaults. Who wants to lend your people money? You're high risk. We don't want to lose our money. No one can pay this money. So now that business, Baruch Hashem, is collapsing. Baruch Hashem. Hopefully it stays this way and gets even worse. Sadly, I don't think that's going to be the case, but we could always be optimistic. Point being is that a lot of those guys are questioning, what do I do now? So Torah Kedosha always tells us that you have to comply by the rules. Now, sometimes it's hard for us to understand, how do I comply by the rules in this generation? Why? Because we think we're something unique. We think that we're the only generation that has a Yetzer Hara. Now, the truth is, every generation has a Yetzer Hara. The generation of Yeshaya, the prophet Isaiah, had women walking around with high heels and long wigs. Still didn't look anywhere near as realistic as the ones of today, that were trying to entice the Goyim to be with them. When the prophet rebuked them, the women responded saying, "So what, Rabbi? What are they going to want to do? Marry us? So let them marry us, these Goyim." So the sages say, who are these wicked women? The Gemara answers, these were the wives of the rabbis of the generation. That's how bad it was. That's how bad it was. Which means that nothing new under the sun, Rabotai. Nothing new under the sun. Horrible things that happened back then are happening right now. I just got a poster, embarrassment to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, a poster from one of my students in Canada. Chabad is having an event. Chabad of Canada is having an event. What's an event? Event, you say, oh, we're bringing a big rabbi. Represent the teachings of the Baal Tanya. Represent the teachings of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Represent the teachings of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Well, a big event. No. We're having an event for the Keilah. What's the event? We're going to have two people discuss a show that's on television that you are forbidden from watching. Why? It talks about a woman that used to be religious and went off the derech and pretty much makes fun of Judaism the entire show. We're going to have a talk about this. Who are the people? One of them is our cousin, who's also off the derech. We're going to put somebody that's against God on a stage to give her opinion to Klal Yisrael. Ishtabach Shemo La'ad. We've ran out of people that keep Shabbat, so we have to pick these people to teach us something. Next they're going to give you, we're going to show you how to dance with women. This is what we have. And they're publicizing it like they're proud. We're bringing it to the community like it's a good thing. Should have said, we're bringing cancer to the community. It's even better. But this is what we have. This is what we talked about in the Gemara yesterday. Masechet Sotah, page 49b. It says the place of the wise people will become a place of harlots. A place of zonot, a place of prostitution, immodesty, immorality. This is what it is. When a religious organization that has such a great reputation highlights people that go against God, what do you have left? What do you have left? What's the difference between you and Reform? What's the difference? What's the difference? But that's what happens when you don't have strong leaders. Because people think this generation is unique. We have to cater to the people. Now, how do we know that there's nothing unique about this generation and the Yetzer Hara has existed at all times? We have to look at the sages. what kind of Yetzirah did they have? Now, Sonny, God bless him, asked me a question. He said, if doing kiruv and helping people get closer to Hashem is such a big thing, how come not everybody's doing it? And second question is, though the big rabbis have the same Yetzirah. Why? Because when you do kiruv, you help people do tshuva, and it's actually effective. As I taught you guys yesterday, we learned together, the Yetzirah himself gets out of the chair and deals with you. All types of strange things happen to your life. Strange emails, strange phone calls, strange things happen in your life. Why? Yetzirah is annoyed by you. It's a good thing. If he's not annoyed by you, it's not a good sign. That means you're not doing anything. If your competition is not worried about you, that means you're not competition. The best sign that you're doing the right thing is when your competition copies you. When you make a product, your competition makes the same product, it's a good sign. Yeah, but I worked so hard on it. Good, that means it works and the competition recognizes it. If no one's copying you, that means what you're doing is not working, it's not effective. Why do you think every single headphone that they sell in the market is white? They're copying Apple. Why do you think that every drink for many, many years was called Coke? Copying Coca-Cola. And so on and so forth. Good products, good things get copied. Your competition is worried about you, he's going to copy you. If no one's copying you, something's wrong. If the Yetzirah is not trying to fight you, there's something wrong. What you're doing is not effective. Which means if you're doing real kiruv, you're helping people really leave the Yetzirah, leave the Tum'ah, leave the impurity, and go to the Kedusha, obviously you're going to have some resistance. If there's no resistance, you're not doing anything. If you don't have people calling you every single day, telling you, thank you very much for helping me do tshuva, if you don't see the world around you change, thank you very much for helping us, go get a job at the post office. Now, when people don't care about kiruv, they just care about money, that's a different story. That's the Erev Rav, we'll talk about a little bit more next week. Now, what happened with the sages though? What happened if somebody's a big Talmid Chacham? Well, as you would have it, many of our huge Talmidei Chachamim were also big kiruv rabbis. One of them, his name was Chafetz Chaim. You guys heard of Chafetz Chaim, right? Chafetz Chaim, heard of it. Recognizable name. Shtabach Shemo. Chafetz Chaim was not only the Baal Mishnah Brura and also the Chafetz Chaim, but he was also an enormous kiruv rabbi. Literally, was willing to go door to door, knocking on people's doors, trying to help them do tshuva. Old man, 100 years old, please, just somebody take me door to door, I'll help him do tshuva. He met one guy one time that was a big donor. But it was Mechalel Shabbat. And the guy came to the Rav to shake his hand. Chafetz Chaim shook his hand but didn't let go. And you know, the guy is holding a holy hand. Okay, don't let go. Only problem is he started seeing the Chafetz Chaim starts to cry. Hysterical, with tears, mamash, tears. And he goes, Kvod Rav, did I do something wrong? What happened? You okay? It's so bad, it's so terrible, I can't believe it. So horrible, so awful. And he starts crying, somebody's dying. What happened? Kvod Rav, anything I can do? What? No more money? No, it's so fat, so terrible. It's so terrible that this wonderful, generous hand is going to be burned in Gehenom for forever. It's so horrible. Such a generous hand. It's so awful how this generous hand is going to be burned in Gehenom forever. Why, Kvod Rav? You're Mechalel Shabbat. What can we do? It's so horrible, so terrible. And he's crying like he's mamash. He sees his hand burning on fire. Okay, Kvod Rav, fine. I'll keep Shabbat. Just give me like 5-6 weeks to set up my businesses. And then I'll start keeping Shabbat for the Kvod Rav. It's for you. Chafetz Chaim starts crying even more. No way, Kvod Rav, no, it's no good. Last 2 weeks, 3 weeks. He goes, wait, it's my Shabbat. It's my Shabbat. If it was my Shabbat, I tell you do what you want. It's not my Shabbat. It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shabbat. It's so terrible, it's so awful that this generous hand, wonderful heart attached to it, is going to be burned in Gehenom forever. You see the Gedol Ador, almost 100 years old, starts crying, you do tshuva. The guy says, Kvod Rav, This Shabbat I'm keeping. From now on I keep Shabbat. The Chafetz Chaim had no shortage of tests. When he was writing the Mishnah Berurah, he had all types of tests. One day, his dear son got sick, really sick. Chafetz Chaim did not slow down. He knew that this Mishnah Berurah has to be written. Sick, no sick, we got to do it. Why? Am Yisrael needs this Torah. Son died. Son died. You think, Chafetz Chaim say, okay, son died, that's it, okay, finished, I'm going back, I'm going to take care of the... Chafetz Chaim says out loud, and people saw it. He says, Yetzirah, what do you think? That if you take my son's neshama, I'm going to stop teaching Torah? Stop helping Am Yisrael? Dafka, I'm going to do more now. Dafka, we're going to publicize this book everywhere. And that's what he did. You have a bigger Yetzirah than that? Baruch Hashem, the Yetzirah is not killing your firstborn son. And Bezrat Hashem, he never will. But you see that when somebody deals with something that's going to help the klal, tests are enormous. The tests are enormous. The bigger the influence, the bigger the test. Many of the Chachamim had tests when it came to money. Parnasah. Rav Yosef Zundel, alav Shalom, was addicted to only one thing, learning Torah. His wife, who handled the finances, would send him once in a while to go to the market that was there a few times a year, to go take their money and buy the fabric that she would take and sell and make it into dresses or sell it to different people in the community, which was full of poor people. So the time came, she said, Kvod Rav, please take our money, go to the place and invest our money to go buy fabric so we can make all types of clothes for the community. Sell it so we can make a living. So you continue learning Torah. So Rav Zundel went to the market. The time he got to the market was early in the morning. He says, Hashem doesn't need me to go search for things all day and work all day to make money. Hashem runs the world. So why am I going to waste all day working, looking, is this good, is that good, is this, is that? Let me just go learn Torah and come here, 5 minutes before they close. And whatever is left, I'll buy that. What do I need to go, use my own brain? Let me go learn Torah, do what HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, and whatever HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants me to give, it'll be available at the end of the day. Because surely, no dollar will be taken out of my pocket that belongs to me, and no dollar will go into my pocket if it doesn't belong to me. As the Gemara in Masechet Beitzah, page 16, and also Rosh Hashanah, page 16, both says that your Parnasah is decided in Shamayim on Rosh Hashanah. From Rosh Hashanah ad Rosh Hashanah, your Parnasah is already decided. And the only thing that changes is the money that you use for mitzvot. Why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, on the mitzvot money that you have, I'm going to pay for that. Whatever money you use for mitzvot, I'm going to pay for. So anyone that has real emunah spends a lot of money on mitzvot. A lot of tzedakah, a lot on Shabbat, a lot of chagim. People say, oh, Judaism is expensive. It's supposed to be if you want to be rich. If you want to be rich, you have to spend a lot of money on Judaism. Why? It's the only money you're guaranteed to get back. Why? HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Mi ekdimani v'ashalim. Who did me a favor and I'll pay him back. Meaning, who invested into a mitzvah without even having all the money yet. You wanted to go buy $500 worth of stuff for your Shabbat because you're having guests. Not because you just have a big stomach. You have guests. You want to honor Shabbat. You want to have guests. You want to teach Torah, learn Torah. You spend $500, $1,000, $2,000 on your Shabbat. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, that's for the honor of my Shabbat. I'll pay for it. When? Kadosh Baruch Hu has his timing. Don't worry. You'll get it. You'll get it. Don't give Hashem deadlines. You don't give the boss deadlines. You give yourself deadlines. You just do what you're supposed to. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, who did me a favor first, and I'll pay him back. Because in reality, we never do many favors first. That's in essence what he's saying. But if you did something, cash. So Rav Zundel says, what do I need to waste my time checking if this is better or that's better? Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to decide for me. So what did he do? He went to a place where no one could bother him. He started learning Torah all day. All day he's in the Torah, he's in his Sfarim, Eventually, after hours of Sfarim, he looked at the clock. Oh, 5 minutes left. Goes into the market, everyone's closed. Except one guy. One guy that has really, really high-end fabric that only kings buy. It's so expensive, only the kings can afford it. But he's the only one that's still open. Rav Zunda says, okay, here's all my money. Give me the fabric. Give me everything. Now, Rav Zunda didn't live in a Fifth Avenue in New York. He didn't live in Beverly Hills in Los Angeles over there. No. He lived in a village where it would take them 1,000 years to sell one of these fabrics. No one grabs such a thing. Poor people. He comes home with this fabric. He put all of the finances. His wife starts crying hysterical. Says, K'vod Rav, what'd you do? Who are we going to sell this to? Who are we going to sell this to? Nobody can afford such fabric. She starts crying, and Rav Zunda says, no, it's going to be okay, don't worry, HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world. Divine logic is not human logic. We can use our human logic. HaKadosh Baruch Hu's logic is much better than ours. But his emunah at that stage was higher than his wife's. As you would have it, the wife doesn't even know what to do with this fabric. Doesn't know what to do with it. Few days, not even a season, a few days pass. A messenger from the king comes to the town. Anyone here deal with dresses and fabric? Oh yeah, the Zundel family. Huh? Oh, yes, you, hi, yeah. You deal with fabric? Yes. Yes, okay. The king's son, the prince, is getting married. And everyone needs to wear the same exact thing, but it's only a special type of fabric. You have anything, we have the perfect thing for you. How much do you want? All of it. Became very rich. Rav Zundel became very rich. Why? Because he understood divine logic is not human logic. Now we can work 20 hours a day. Doesn't mean you're going to succeed. There are many, many people that work a lot and don't make any money. Many people that work very little and make a lot of money, and vice versa. Vice versa. But the test of Parnassah, Rabotai, is not an easy one. But it's impossible if you don't have Torah. Rabbi Ephraim says that in his house he has a rule. He has a rule. Teaches his little girls and his boys. There's a rule. We never cry or ever get angry over something material. It's forbidden in the house. You lost a toy, you broke something, you want something, never allowed to cry over something material. Why? Because it brings a kitrug, a case against you in Shamayim. Because why do you cry? Okay, so you lost $500, you lost 5,000, you lost a toy, you lost something that's material. So Shamayim say, oh yeah, Hashem, he's crying about this toy. She's crying that she doesn't have a fridge. She's crying that the tiles of the kitchen look like the desert. They're crying that, stuff's not working. Crying, angry. They got into a fight on Shabbat because the food wasn't so good. Kadosh Baruch Hu asks, what about my Bet Mikdash? They cry about that too. I don't have a house for 2,000 years. They cry about that? Am Yisrael got slaughtered by the millions over the last 2,000 years by the Christians. Yimach Shemam V'Zikram. They cry about that? The Torah is being desecrated every single day by both religious and irreligious people. They're crying about my Torah. Over 1 million kids in Eretz Yisrael do not know Kriyat Shema. Shema Yisrael, they don't know. Shema Yisrael, they don't know. They cry about those kids. There are hundreds of families, thousands of families that we're trying to reach and help. I mean, we can only do what HaKadosh Baruch Hu allows us to do. Anyone that saw the video we publicized a couple of days ago, I couldn't watch it. It took me 2 or 3 times to actually watch the video. Even though we made it took me a few times to actually sit there and watch the whole thing. 7-minute video, after 3 minutes, I just start crying. I have to stop, wait the next day. Why? You're seeing tzaddikim with little kids, the shoes don't fit them. They're too small on the kid. The shoes are ripped. They're opening. The shoe is open like it's a hippopotamus. She's wearing winter clothes because they can't afford anything else. In the summer, 900 degrees weather over there, can't afford anything else. A mother says, my kids are asking me, Ima, can we have food? Food. Not Ima, can I have a Nintendo? Not Ima, can I have another motorcycle? Can I have food? You cry about those people? You cry about them? What did you cry about? You lost your the game that you were playing against your friend on the internet? He beat you 3 times in a row? You're upset? You broke the joystick? That's what you're crying about? That's what it says, okay, so that's what you care about. We'll turn you into a joystick. Cry about joysticks, we'll turn you into a joystick. When we cry about material things, Rabotai, it doesn't look good. Never cry about material things. Never get angry about material things. Why? Because Baruch Hu is going to say, look, if you at least cry about material as much as you cry about the spiritual, okay, fine. Don't get me wrong, it's tough to lose money. Trust me, I lost millions. Very, very difficult to lose money. But do we care as much about a Kadosh Baruch Hu as we do about our own pocket? Because you're going to cry about losing money, you're going to cry about all types of material things, fine, that makes you human. You shouldn't, but nonetheless, it makes you human. To at least have a difficulty. But are you crying about the fact that we have kids that went to yeshiva, their whole life, they added me to some group, Baruch Hashem, I got out right away, when I found out what this group is, but before I got away, I was doing a shiur last night. So by the time I got home, I saw there's like, 300 messages in this group. All yeshiva bachurim from here, from Florida. What are they discussing in this group? The filthiest stuff you can possibly imagine. Amevin yavin. Cursing, filth, garbage, disgusting. You would have thought you were in some, prison cell with a bunch of hoodlums. Yeshiva bachurim, yeshiva guys, well, former. If that's what the product is of the yeshiva system here in Florida, I might as well send it to public school. I know public school kids that don't speak like that. You crying about those people? They don't know nothing. If you're not crying about them, that they don't know anything, and they have such filthy mouths and such horrible addictions, how can you allow yourself to cry about your Nintendo and your PlayStation and your money and your stock market? How can you allow yourself? If you cry just as much, at least you're going in the right direction. What's the mindset of a person that understands the value of money, but also the value of a Jew? One of the Gdolei Olam, Rav Nisim Karelitz, from Bnei Brak, one time, someone came to his house, said, Kvod Rav, I have a problem with you. Oh, sir, what can I do? What happened? Says, the Rav owes me $600, 600 shekels. Oh, why do I owe 600 shekels? Because you guys painted the house and then emptied out all the remaining paint into the sewer system. The sewer system caused a clog in my house. And in order to unclog it, cost me $600. Rav Karelitz. So, 1 second. Got the money. $1, $2, $3, $4, $5, $600. Here you go. Bacha v'atzlacha. Oh, thank you for the Rav. He leaves. Now Talmidim saw the Rav just give this guy in 2 minutes $600. Says, Rav, is this the halacha? Because usually it's the process, proof, this, that, there's the halacha. Rav Nisim Karelitz says to them, one of the greatest lessons you could ever learn. He says, I have at least 3 reasons why I don't have to pay him. He says, 1, he lives across the street, which means the sewer system that I have and the sewer system that he has do not connect. There's no way that he was affected by my stuff. No way. Reason number 2. The sewer system is constantly water in there moving, so there's no way that the paint could have clogged his house. No way. Scientifically impossible. Reason number 3. We didn't paint the house. There's no paint. We didn't paint the house. So now the Talmidim are even more confused, like you. Like I was. I was laughing and then confused. Rabbi, why'd you pay him then? You have 3 reasons. Legit. You didn't even do anything. Why'd you pay him? He says to pay $600 to a Jew to have a good neighbor, it's a good investment. It's a good investment. It's worth it. Pay somebody $600 to be a good neighbor. Because if I didn't pay him and I told him these excuses, he wouldn't believe, he wouldn't agree, he would be upset. It'd be something between me and another Jew. Chas v'shalom. If I have to pay him $600 to make him happy, good neighbor, cheap. Malash. Good investment. How do you know it's a good investment? Chas v'shalom, you ever have a bad neighbor. Having a bad neighbor is like cancer. Everything you do, they have a problem with. Your kids are too loud, your kids are too this, your car is in my way, you looked at me the wrong way, you're cutting on my lawn, you're cutting on this, all types of things. You know how many fights there are that go to actual court because of neighbors that are jealous of each other? All of a sudden, the city marshal shows up to your house. Yes, sir, okay, here you go. You get a letter, scary letter from the government, no one ever gets like it. Okay, you have 7 days to remove your entire balcony or to remove this garage. Why? You didn't get a certification from the state. You didn't get the permission from the state to do this. Yeah, but how did the state know about my house? There's 1 million houses in the city. How'd you know about it? How did you know? Your neighbor, Rasha Merusha, doesn't like it that you're expanding your house. Doesn't like it that you're making it nicer. So what did he do? He called the city. Yeah, my neighbor, he's doing something illegal. Oh, what is he doing? Oh, he's doing something without getting permission from you. Build balcony, is a this, basement, apartment, all types of things. Call the city, see it is. Chazaku Baruch, Rasha, Chazaku Baruch. You just did our job for us. They show up to you. You have a week. And there's no like, oh, let me go to court. You have a week to destroy this thing. Yeah, but I spent $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on this thing. Mistake. Why? Jealous. Jealous. You know how many places have these stories? How many times people tell me, listen, maybe you could do so people like that, there's no fixing them. They're Geshaim. Unless you build them also what you're building for yourself, there's no way. While you're expanding your house, you're investing another $100,000 in your house. Unless you invest $100,000 in this house, it's never going to happen. Never going to happen. Why? Jealous person. And that's what the Torah Kedusha says to us. Jealous people, lo kamim b'tchiyat hametim, will not be resurrected with the dead. Kadosh Baruch Hu hates them. So when you know what a bad neighbor looks like, you're willing to pay to get a good one. Now, that also means that you have to have a certain understanding of Torah. Now there is a mitzvah that says Vayitem Nekim Be'enei Hashem, that there are times, specific times, that you have to prove the case that you are right, to show that you're clean of this accusation that somebody makes of you. You can't just admit, hey, just to be a good neighbor, let me just give you money to everybody. If somebody accuses you of something wrong, there are certain times in the mitzvah from the Torah that you have to prove that you are right. Why? To show that you're a kosher Jew, to show that you are clean in the eyes of Hashem. You're clean in the eye of people. So different times to use, but the point being is that you have to know enough Torah to know when to use it and when not to use it. If it's something like this, like what Rav Nisim Karelitz says, your neighbor comes complaining to you about you're parking in his spot, and in reality there's no such thing as his spot, just move your car, go somewhere else. Why? It's not worth the fight. Oh, I'm sorry, it's your spot. I didn't know, I'm sorry. We just moved here. I'm sorry. I didn't know it's your spot. Oh, it's your chair? Oh, I'm sorry, move. Why? It's not worth fighting. Pick your battles. Pick your battles. It's not worth fighting over stupid things like that. his chair, his spot. The guy thinks he runs the world. Let him believe that he runs the world. Okay, what are you going to fight him over it? People fight over chairs. Oh, you're sitting in my chair, I'm not coming here anymore. Give him the chair. Give him an ice cream too, a lollipop, a little child that he is. Oh, it's your spot. Oh, city traffic is yours too. The air is yours. Enjoy. It's yours. You're right. I saw your name. I didn't know it was your name when I saw it in the air. I didn't know it was your name. Now I know your name. I'll recognize it forever. I'll recognize it forever. It's you. It's all you. Enjoy it. Why? It's not worth the fight. But if somebody accuses you, or you're stealing, you're lying, something like that, you have to show proof. No, I'm clean. I'm clean. I'm ethical. I'm clean. Everything I'm doing, kosher. Why? You have to show that the Torah led you to be a kosher person. Now, your perspective of money as you get more and more Torah changes. Now, when you get to a high level, like the sages, money simply becomes meaningless to you. So much so that when somebody came to Rav Steinemann, one of his Talmidim came to him in a joking way, says, you know, Rav, there was one guy that was rich guy. We told him we need to donate for the yeshiva. He says, listen, I'm willing to give you guys $500,000, but one condition. I want Rav Steinemann to engrave a pen for me. You know, write his name on a pen for me. You give me that pen, I'll give you $500,000. You know, come on, you're going to make such commands of one of the biggest rabbis in the world. Are you ridiculous? Okay, that's my condition. So the Talmidim was saying in a joke, like, man, Kvod Harav, this guy has no respect for the Torah, he wants to write. Rav Steinman says, no, why not? Why not? $500,000 for the Avachim, why not? Chavod, just I need somebody to teach me how to engrave. Bring me somebody to engrave. And how much percentage is the Rav going to get from the $500,000? Nothing. Why? For the Avrahim. What do I need the money for? A rich guy came to Rav Steinman. When you look at it, you looked at his house. Anyone saw pictures of the Rav Steinman's house? That gave you an understanding of what houses looked like in the Holocaust. It didn't change. You couldn't find the refrigerator he had in a museum. He had milk crates as his bed. Milk crates. You guys even know what milk crates are? Milk crates were his bed. No joy whatsoever out of this world. Did not want anything to do with it. A rich person came up to him and said, Kvod Harav, please, let us redo the Rav's house, buy the next door house, buy the property, make the Rav a nice house, comfortable. Normal house. Rav Steinemann looks at him and says, why? What do I need this stuff for? Why do I need all this? What will it do for me? Just like his Rav, the Chafetz Chaim. Someone came to the Chafetz Chaim and said, Kvod Harav, you're known as the Gdol Hador. Yeah. No. Well, I don't know, where's your house? Where's the furniture? Where's the, glory of the Torah? How come? Chafetz Chaim says, where's yours? So, no, Kvod Harav, I'm just visiting here. I'm from London. But if you come to my house in London, see, I have a big house, nice couches, all types of chandeliers. I'm just visiting here. Chafetz Chaim says to him, I'm visiting here also. I'm not going to be here forever. I don't invest in this world. You come to my house in Olam Haba, I show you, I have this, that, what I have. Why should I invest into a house I'm not going to be here for a short period of time? For what? What? For what? Perspective of money changes. Your understanding of what's valuable changes. Why? You're only going to be here for a little while. You're only going to be here for a little while. What if you don't understand it? Then HaKadosh Baruch Hu will force you to understand it. But unfortunately, it could get to a point where it's too late. Now I'm going to tell you a real story happening as we speak. Some of you that have seen many of my lectures, been here, heard me talk to you about my cousin. Alav Shalom. I didn't know him personally. young kid, 23 or 26 years old. His father, from what I know, has enough money to build a country. Kadosh Baruch Hu gave them a lot of money. What did he give a Kadosh Baruch Hu? Nothing. Secular school for the kids. Wife is an atheist. Don't keep anything on Rosh Hashanah. Violating the entire Chag. Nothing. Don't keep anything. Zero. But money, they have. So 2.5 years ago, 23, 26-year-old cousin, on the second day of Rosh Hashanah, while the parents are on vacation, he goes on his scooter. Instead of going to the Beit Knesset, he goes on a scooter right outside of his mansion, falls off the scooter, hits his head. Hospital comes, goes to the hospital, do some CAT scans, this scan, that scan. They know the guy, they know the family. Obviously, with money, everybody knows you. Says, no, you're okay, everything's okay, just go home and rest. My cousin goes home, he goes and he rests, and he dies. His whole life was in front of him. Cute kid, smart kid, unfortunate kid. Didn't know what Torah was. Died before he even learned. Now that would be one of the greatest punishments that HaKadosh Baruch Hu can give a father, is to see his own kid die during his life. Now if that didn't make the person do tshuva, what does HaKadosh Baruch Hu do? What did I tell you guys many times? What happens with HaKadosh Baruch Hu? When he says, Ve'alachti imi bekeri, ve'alachti imachem bechamat keri. If I do something to you, I give you a difficulty, I give you suffering, you don't do tshuva, guess what? What are you going to say? It's nature, happenstance, it's a misfortune, bad luck. You can say that, I'll punish you even worse. Less than 6 months ago, his second son, 48 years old, found dead in the apartment. Found dead in the apartment, here in Florida. They didn't say why, but anyone that has a brain can figure out why. They do tshuva? Unfortunately, no. Wife's still an atheist, still keeping nothing. Sunday last week, my father calls me, says, Yaron, please do me a favor. What? Please, refuah shlema. For, why? This morning, doctor called him, the father. 2 sons died. No tshuva yet. Doctor called him, we're sorry, you have throat cancer. Meaning, you're pretty much living on borrowed time. Every day you live, it's a miracle. Now let me ask you a question. How much is 100, 200, 300 million dollars, $1 billion, however much money you can count? How much is it worth when 2 of your kids died during your life and you're about to die any day? How much is that worth to you? How much? And this is why we warn people constantly. Don't mess with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He said keep Shabbat, keep Shabbat. He said be a kosher business, be a kosher business. Why? You don't want to turn into my uncle. Where HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Meshalem el sonav el panav le'avido. He says at the end of Parashat Vayetchanan, I pay cash to my haters to their face to destroy them. Hey, I have a lot of money. She has a lot of money. What's that money going to do for him now? Zero. Nothing. Can't help him. Can't buy him an extra day in life. Can't take it to Olam Haba. The Chachamim was so worried about leaving anything in this world that the Gemara in Masechet Gittin, page 47a, has a story about Resh Lakish. Resh Lakish, one of the greatest sages we ever had, also one of the greatest Baalei Tshuva that we ever had. Used to be the head of the mafia. Became the Chavruta of Rabbi Yochanan. At the end of his days, he started crying. Moments before he left this world. Went to Olam Haba with Rabbi Akiva, with the greatest of history. Why did he cry? He said, I can't believe that I left a kava de morika, a few vegetables. Can't believe I left a few vegetables in this world. I left them all of my strength. I left them all of my strength. People say, oh no, I want to save up so I can leave a big inheritance for the next generation. One of the greatest sages in history said, I can't believe I left a few fruits and vegetables. It's all my strength. So the Chafetz Chaim says, what's the meaning here? He says, when somebody understands the value of Torah, he understands that those fruits and vegetables, the money that it took to pay for them, that took time to make that money, right? That time was wasted. Why? Because you didn't need it. You didn't need those fruits because you didn't use them. Somebody else is going to eat from it. That means that you could have used that time to learn more Torah. What a waste. What a waste. That's the perspective of someone who understands what Torah is. Be'ezrat Hashem, this gives us a little bit of an understanding, a little bit of a chizuk of how much we have to mamash fight for Torah. Fight for Torah. A minute here, 5 minutes there, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Because that's the cure, guys. It's the only thing. With that being said, Bechavod, who wants to start with some questions? Joshua. You had 87 questions after the lecture yesterday. 89. Sorry, I forgot the last two. No, give me one at least. Sonny already has you by 2 today, so. No, you already asked 2. It's at the start of the shir, so you have to catch up. No. So what's the question? So there's a pasuk in the Torah. It says that Avraham was blessed bekol. So some of the Chachamim say that there was actually Avraham Avinu did have a daughter, and her name was Bekol. That was her name. So he did fulfill that mitzvah. There are some that say the otherwise. That was referring to something else. But we do know that Avraham had many children. But as far as the one that was turned into Klal Yisrael, that was Yitzchak. So he had 2 sets of kids. He had Yitzchak, and then he had all of the sons that he had with Hagar. So it says that he gave Yitzchak his inheritance, and he gave many gifts to the Bnei Hagar, all the children of Hagar. Chachamim say, what are these gifts? He said, Avraham gave them the koach kishuf, witchcraft. All types of things that they can use to do whatever it is that they wanted to do in the world. That's why much of the witchcraft that exists in the world today comes from the Middle East, specifically from the Arabs. This was one of the gifts they got from Avraham Avinu. So he had many kids, but that's again that side. As far as from Sarai Imenu, he had Yitzchak. But some say, again, like I said, that there was a daughter that was Bekol, that was the name. But in regards to the sages and the forefathers that we have to understand that we don't have complete clarity of every single thing they ever did, but we do have an understanding that, for example, the sages teach us that Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov technically were not Jewish, according to some Chachamim, because Judaism was born at Mount Sinai once we got Matan Torah. There was no Judaism back then. There was Israelites. There were Hebrews. So what was Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov? There were Noahites, technically, because Judaism was born with Matan Torah. But yet, Chachamim teach us that Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, the reason why they merited to be the forefathers of Am Yisrael is because they did themselves follow the entire Torah. They knew the entire Torah and they followed the entire Torah even before we got it. It was just transmitted orally. So in the beginning of the Gemara, Masechet Avodah Zarah, it says that Avraham Avinu, his tractate of Avodah Zarah was 400 chapters. which means that it was 80 times bigger than what we have today. His Torah was much more extensive than what we have today. And his wisdom was even more extensive than Shlomo HaMelech, Avraham Avinu. So it's very hard for us to truly understand the significance of our forefathers, but nonetheless we do know that they fulfilled the entire Torah, but they also knew that they were forbidden from doing certain things. So the Zohar Kadosh says, so if Avraham is forbidden from keeping Shabbat, but yet the Chachamim say that he kept Shabbat, Asur, it's not allowed. Why? It says a goy that keeps Shabbat, chayav mitah, it's a death penalty. So how could Avraham keep Shabbat if he knows the entire Torah? He's following the entire Torah, and he knows he's forbidden from keeping Shabbat. It says Avraham would use the wisdom that he had from a book called Sefer Yetzirah, the book of creation, that originated all the way from the beginning of creation, in order to create something. What would he create? He would create a cow every Shabbat. That was his breaking Shabbat. He'd create a cow. Take some clay, yeah, cow, moo. Cow. That's it. Now, when you have, Baruch Hashem, we deal with a lot of converts. I don't know if you guys knew that. Deal sometimes. Sometimes we have to deal with converts. And Baruch Hashem, we tell the converts that you're not allowed to keep Shabbat. 100%. Why? You're not Jewish yet. Once you're a Jew, once you finish the conversion, then you keep Shabbat 100%. But yet if I tell you, do whatever you want throughout the whole time, that's not good. Why? Because one day you're going to become Jewish, you don't even know how to keep Shabbat. So what do? You keep Shabbat 99% throughout the whole process. However that process takes, however long it takes, a year, 6 months, 2 years, whatever it is, you have to keep Shabbat 99%. Same thing with all of the mitzvot, 99%. So what does it mean to keep Shabbat 99%? You violate it intentionally with something small once a Shabbat. So for example, for Shabbat, you go and you turn on the light one time on Shabbat. On Yom Kippur, you take a drink. You don't fast all the time, you take a drink. Or you eat something small, not make a big thing. Don't drive to the mall on Shabbat. That's obviously not keeping Shabbat at all. Just do something small. Why? Because you don't have to keep 100%. So when you live in this generation, you have a merit to breaking Shabbat through your process by what? Turning on a light. But if you have Avraham Avinu, you're breaking Shabbat, you create a cow. That's how you break Shabbat. Next question. Yes?
Can a person do Teshuvah a second before his death? And would it be accepted if it was sincere?
There is a Gemara talks about Rabbi Dordia. Now Rabbi Dordia wasn't really a rabbi. He was actually a Rasha throughout all of his life that made every single sin you can possibly imagine. Every woman that he would see, do whatever he can. He went to every prostitute in town. Every sin you could possibly imagine. But one day he went to a prostitute, and the prostitute rebuked him. Says, somebody like you, you have no chance. Now, he took it to heart, and he went to the mountains and started crying hysterically. Because he realized she was right. He has no chance. He's going to Gehenom. And he started crying to the heavens. He said, the heavens, heavens, please help me. Please help me. And the heavens responded, the Gemara says, all of the sins you made has tainted us too. We have to do tshuva for ourselves. It says, luminaries, the sun, the moon, please, the angels of the sun of the moon, please help me. The sun and the moon says, you made so many sins, you affected us. We have to do tshuva. Can't help you. It says, who's going to help me? The mountains, I'm here, please. The mountains, please help me. The mountain says, you defiled us. You made the tum'ah of the world so bad, it affected us too. How much sins you made. And then Rabbi Dordia says, there's nothing I can do. No one's going to help me. I have to rely on myself. And he cried himself to death. Literally. He cried so much that day from his sorrow that he died. And as his neshama came out, there was a bat kol that came out, a heavenly voice came out, the Rabbi HaKadosh, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi heard it also. It says, Olam Haba welcomes Rabbi Dordia. And Rabbi HaKadosh started crying, because he understood what happened. He says, look at this. someone can buy Olam Haba in a moment. How? Serious tshuva. Now, so that means, if you can cry yourself to death from your tshuva, yes, you can go to Olam Haba. 1 minute before you die. But how many people can do that? Zero. Zero. So what does it really mean? Practically speaking, if a person makes major sins in his life, not because he wants to anger Hashem, but he makes sins, or even if he does, point is, if that person does not have any remorse whatsoever, he doesn't regret any of it, and he dies, he goes to the 7th level of Gehenom and he never comes out until his neshama is completely destroyed. And the only thing that's left is the Chelek Elokim Mimala, the piece of God, if you will, that Hashem put into Adam Rishon. That person, after a certain amount of years, millions of years, whatever length it is over there, of suffering to completely destroy the neshama, apparently it takes a while to destroy the neshama, that person is never coming out of Gehenom. Esav, for example, the Gemara says Esav is still in Gehenom to this day, 4,000 years later. Why? But he made a sin a long time ago. Why is he still in Gehenom right now? Kadosh Baruch Hu says, "Et Esav saneti." Esav, I hate him. Why? He knew the truth. He knew he had to keep Shabbat. He knew he had to keep Tahat Mishpacha. He knew he had to be. He knew his father was Yitzchak Avinu. His grandfather was Avraham. His brother was Yaakov. He had religious people around him. But he dafka still chose to go against Hashem. I hate him. He knew the truth and he still went against them. I hate him. And for me, for a Kadosh Baruch Hu hating a person, goes to Gehenom permanently. 4,000 years in this world have passed, millions of years in that time frame over there, he's still there. And he's not going to leave. Permanently. He could have been, by the way, your forefather, my forefather. That's what a Me'am actually says. The Midrash Me'am says that technically the Shneim Shvatim, the 12 tribes, was supposed to be split. 6 for Yaakov and 6 for Esav. But because Esav chose the wrong way, Kadosh Baruch Hu says, I'll give everything to Yaakov, all the reward goes to Yaakov, and you, I hate you. Esav, I hate you. It's the only one in the entire Torah that Kadosh Baruch Hu actually has a verse in the Torah where he says, I hate a person. This person, I hate him, specifically by name. So, now a person that makes such a sin, dies this way, nothing can help him. On the other hand, if a person has at least a iure tshuva, he has at least some type of remorse, he feels bad for the sins that he made, that alone can help him not go to Gehenom permanently. He still has to go to Gehenom. Could be even for 1,000,000 years. But there is a good chance that it won't be permanent. Why? Because at least he had some remorse. The question is, will he have the merit to have that remorse before he dies? Because for that, you need to have merit. You have to do something good for Hashem to allow you to want to do any type of tshuva before you die. Because most people, they die unexpectedly. Car accidents, a disease, a heart attack, all types of things. They don't die like in the movies where it's like the guy goes to sleep after he tells everybody goodbye, and then it doesn't work that way in real life. In real life, the vast majority of deaths are unexpected. So, is he going to have the merit to do that? And the Rambam writes in the Mishneh Torah that the worst punishment that a person can get in this world is that Hashem removes his desire to do tshuva. Well, Pharaoh actually did do tshuva. He just hardened Pharaoh's heart. Pharaoh eventually did tshuva and he became the king of Nineveh in Sefer Yonah. He was the king of Nineveh that did tshuva. That's why the Goyim did tshuva, because Pharaoh knew that God wasn't messing around. But he hardened his heart while he was in Egypt, because he wanted to bring all the miracles and so on, and Pharaoh was wicked at the time, but eventually he did tshuva. But there are certain people that HaKadosh Baruch Hu removed their desire to do tshuva, and that's, the Rambam writes, is the worst punishment that a person can get. Because pretty much the thought of getting close to Hashem is far, far removed from them. They hate Hashem. They're anti-Hashem, and they die that way. Such a person, nothing can help him. Nothing can help him. That person is doomed. Even there are many, many reshaim, many people that were wicked, but still didn't hate Hashem. They just were addicted to their desires. You know, they were addicted to whatever desire they had. It had nothing to do with their hatred for Hashem. So those people, they do have some type of chance, possibly, if they had this desire to do tshuva at some point before they died. But bottom line is, a person shouldn't play with the fire of Gehenom. It's not the fire of this world. You do tshuva while you're alive, like Rabbi Eliezer ben Holkono says in the Gemara. You have to do tshuva every day. Why? Because you never know when you're going to die. No one's promised tomorrow. You do tshuva every day, and that way you're assured that when the time comes, you'll be going to a good place, and not the place of Esav. Next question. Yeah.
How can one does? I can do tshuva every day, especially on Shabbat. That's supposed to be
How can you do tshuva every day? So doing tshuva doesn't necessarily always require a person to go into tears. Doing tshuva means that you are improving whatever you're deficient in. If a person was stingy yesterday, his tshuva today is to be generous. If a person was arrogant yesterday, his tshuva today is to be humble. If a person was angry yesterday, his tshuva today is to be patient. And if a person wants to do tshuva, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will help him. As the Gemara in Moed Katan says, a bali ta'er mesayin biyado. Someone that comes to become purified, has a desire to become purified, Hashem gives him a hand. If Hashem knows that you have a desire to do tshuva, He will give you an opportunity to do tshuva. He'll give you an opportunity to do tshuva. You yelled at your wife yesterday, you felt really bad about it, you want to do tshuva for it. Tomorrow, Hashem is going to make your wife extra annoying. Why? So you can do tshuva this time. How do you do tshuva for it? Honey, you're right. She's not right, she's wrong. Honey, you're right. 100% right. 100% right. I can't believe it. You're right. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. Why? I'm doing tshuva for yesterday. I'm doing tshuva for yesterday. Today you have to be patient. Why? Because yesterday you were a little troll. So today you have to be a tzaddik. And that's it. You have to. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give you an opportunity to do tshuva. Now what happens if you mess up again? Well, you have double work the next day. The next day she'll be annoying at 4 o'clock in the morning, not at 2. And then the employees, and then the boss, and then the this, and then that. It gets more difficult. Why? Because Hashem said, you want to do tshuva, I'm going to help you. I'm going to give you the test to do tshuva. But don't keep failing. Try again. And Hashem is going to keep giving you the same test until you pass it. So tshuva doesn't necessarily mean that you have to cry about all of the worst things that you've ever done in your life every day. Tshuva means that you have to improve something that you were deficient in the past that you're aware of. Whatever it was, and I promise you, if you are honest with yourself, anyone that thinks about themselves knows that they had something that they did wrong yesterday or last week or the week before or sometime. Everybody knows that. And the more a person knows about Torah, the more they know how much deficiencies they really have. Yes?
Yeah, just let me rephrase that.
Oh, okay.
This is someone accidentally, someone does something on Shabbat accidentally, that's like valid or like one of the metaphor. How do you, it's accidental, but you feel...
You mean accidental sin. So sometimes...
How do you deal with this?
So, if a person, let's say for example, ran into the light switch. Right? If he ran into the light switch, it's not even a sin. It's not even an accident. Why? He ran into it. It's as if it didn't happen. But if he turned it on because he forgot it's Shabbat, then that's an accident. That's shogeg. So what do? Yeah, you feel bad for you feel bad that something happened. But you say, okay, the mitzvah is we're not allowed to be upset on Shabbat. I'm going to continue celebrating Shabbat. But Motzei Shabbat, I'm going to do tshuva for it. How do you do tshuva? I'm going to ask my rabbi, what do I need to do? Which in essence, many times, it's to give tzedakah. Why? Because your tzedakah is a replacement for your korbanim. There's no korbanot anymore. There's no sacrifices anymore. So instead of korban, I'm going to give tzedakah in the sake of this mistake that I made. Accidental sin. But if it's not an accident, you just ran into the light bulb, you ran into the thing, you turned something on, that's not a sin at all. So it's very important to know what's an actual accidental sin, what's not a sin at all, and what's an intentional sin. Sometimes a person gets really, really upset. I know one time this guy, he was in the early stages of his tshuva, got into an argument with his family, decided to heck with it, went into his car and drove out. Got really upset and drove away, ran away from his family. Now, is that an accident? No, it's not an accident. Can he do tshuva for it? Absolutely. What does he got to do? He's got to make sure that he learns halachot Shabbat. He's got to make sure he learns musar and stops being angry. And he's got to make sure to help other people not make the same mistake. Why? Because it's much, much worse to violate Shabbat than it is to do anything else in the world. Much worse. Because when a person understands what Shabbat is in the eyes of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, he understands that he shouldn't play with fire. That's why it's silly sometimes I have young people ask me, "Oh, Rabbi, can I play basketball on Shabbat?" I said, "Yeah, Chachamim said that if you're an adult, you're not even allowed to touch a ball. It's muktzeh." Why would you think that? He goes, "No, but I don't know, all the friends are doing it." Oh, so you're relying on somebody that says it's allowed? Giants of the generation said you're not even allowed to touch a ball. Needless to say, you're not allowed to play basketball on Shabbat. Needless to say, it's not even necessarily the greatest idea to do it during the week. Because how much time are you going to waste on it? Unless you're doing it purely for exercise. But if you're spending 2-3 hours a day playing basketball, it's not exercise anymore. It's an addiction. Why are you playing with fire? Why are you playing with fire? Don't play with fire. Shabbat is Shabbat. Shabbat is a time to be with family. It's a time to get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, learn His Torah. Time to rest a little bit. That's what Shabbat is for. All of these other things that you do during the week, do them during the week. Shabbat needs to be different than the rest of the week. If your Shabbat looks like the rest of the week, or worse yet, your Shabbat looks like the vacation of the Goyim, it's not Shabbat. It's a vacation for the Goyim. People, oh no, I'm going to the beach. I'm going to have my own private beach on Shabbat, and rich people, they have a weekend house. We're going to sit on the beach on Shabbat. You ever hear Rabbi Akiva sit on the beach on Shabbat? You ever hear Rabbi Ovadia sit on the beach on Shabbat? We're not talking about the immodesty and all that stuff. Obviously, that's again, I'm talking about private beach. You're the only one there, you and your family. No one's wearing nothing over there. Everybody's wearing whatever they're wearing. Beaches for Shabbat? No. Oh, I'm going to go sit by the pool on Shabbat. Pools for Shabbat? Pools for Shabbat? You know anything about Shabbat? Shabbat is a time to learn Torah. Improve our spirituality. If a person understood what you get for Torah, for learning Torah, he would use every minute he has to learn Torah on Shabbat. Why? Because if you take all of the good that anyone has ever had in his life and you multiply by infinity, that's not even worth one word of learning Torah during the week. On Shabbat, the reward for your learning Torah is 1,000-fold. Whatever you got during the week for learning Torah is multiplied by 1,000 on Shabbat. This is the reason why many of the Chachamim, like for example, Rabbi Ovadia, wouldn't sleep on Shabbat at all. Like no sleep, zero. He would barely sleep anyway. He would sleep a few hours like many of the giants. They would barely sleep, they would study constantly. But on Shabbat, Dafka, he wouldn't sleep at all. Why? Cannot waste the time to sleep. I gotta learn Torah. Gotta learn Torah. Like he's missing mitzvot. So, when a person understands how much Torah is worth on Shabbat, these ideas of secular behavior escape him. But you're not going to understand it unless you learn Torah a little bit every day. You watch one of the lectures every day, another one. You keep adding up and build your spiritual immune system. You're going to get much more clarity on life and what to do with life. But if you're going to constantly depend on your own secular knowledge and just general human knowledge, you're going to have very, very big ups and downs in your life. So that's in essence what the Chachamim were constantly trying to teach us, that the Torah is not a suggestion book. The Torah is simply a rule book of how to achieve success in everything, in this world and the next. If you don't do it, it's not like if you do it, you succeed, and if you don't do it, you'll find something else that's better, or maybe not as good. No, The Torah is, if you do it, you will succeed. If you don't do it, you will fail at everything else that you will do. Yeah, my uncle has hundreds of millions of dollars. But guess what? A bunch of strangers are going to get it. All the money he worked for, strangers are going to have it. He's not going to enjoy it. Why? He's going to die soon from throat cancer. Unless by some miracle, HaKadosh Baruch Hu decides to give him another chance. Because right now, every single day he's alive is a miracle. Because he didn't get the signs. I almost died too. I had to fight for my life for a long time because I was stupid. I was playing with fire. I didn't understand. Oh, it's God that's doing all this. I thought it's like bad luck. I thought it's a bad doctor. After 50 bad doctors, I realized it's not the doctors. Don't be stupid like me. Be smart. The second version of me. But don't wait too late. That's in essence what we're trying to learn here. People play with fire, they get burned. It's not that Hashem wants to burn you. It's a reality. You put your hand in fire, you're going to get burned. It's not that the fire is a punishment. It's a reality. It's an outcome of your actions. If you defile the neshama that Hashem gave you, He has to destroy you. That's it. You have no right to be next to Him. He gave you a pure neshama. At the very least, we have to return it pure. The problem is, we return the neshama worse than what we got it. And yet we expect to go to Gan Eden. It's ludicrous. Imagine, your boss at a company says, listen, we like you, we want to put you in charge of $1 million account to take care of company business. Grow the company, build the company, do whatever you can. All right? Okay. We come back to you a couple of months later. No, so how much money did you make us with this $1 million? Turn it into $1.5 million, $2 million, $3 million. What'd you do with it? No, we actually, you're in debt of $15 million. Not only did you not make us money, but you lost the money we gave you and you put us in debt of $15 million, and yet you want a promotion? You want to keep your job? Doesn't make any sense, right? When we make a sin, it's much worse than what I just gave you. Hashem gave us a neshama. You know what a neshama is? Your neshama has to travel 500 light years from Rakia to Rakia, different places in the heavens, in a matter of no time to enter your body. Your neshama comes from under the kisei hakavod of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It has to travel thousands of light years in a moment to enter your body. You got from the highest place and you came to this world, beautiful neshama. Hashem says, you know what? At least give it to me like I gave it to you. And prove a few things. That's the whole point of why you're here. Don't think you're going to get back to the kisei hakavod if you're returning to Him something worse than what you got. That's in essence, when you have an opportunity to keep mitzvot, it's an opportunity to purify your neshama. It's an opportunity to purify yourself and get closer to Hashem. Why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the King of Kings. He's not going to be next to anything filthy. It's just not going to happen. He's the King of Kings. He's not your boy. He's not your friend. He's the King of Kings. So this is why we have to speak harshly at times to explain to people the worst thing you can do is sin intentionally. Sin accidentally happens. You're human. And tzaddik shelo yichta. Even the tzaddikim sin accidentally from time to time. Even tzaddikim. There's a pasuk in the Torah about it. But an intentional sin is completely different. You make an intentional sin, you have a very serious problem. First, you have to focus on stopping the intentional sins. Do everything you can. Understand that making an intentional sin is worse than turning an atomic bomb under yourself, not under somebody else's country. You're blowing yourself up. You will suffer from that intentional sin. You have to understand what this fire is. Why? Because that's the only way. You see a beautiful woman that's practically walking around with no clothes on. Unless you understand the fire and the circumstances that you're putting yourself in by staring at her, you're going to sin. Either with her, or with somebody else, or with yourself. You're going to sin. So what are you going to do? He said, no, this is fire. You can't even look. Can't even look. Well, it's fire. It's a bomb. I got to run away from this. You look away. It becomes a reflex. Now, I know to some people it sounds impossible. What do you mean? How do you not look? If you train yourself long enough, it becomes your nature. The second you see a woman, it's imadas, you look away. And you can even get to the point where the second you see a woman, you look away. You're still appropriate, you're still polite, you say hello, and if somebody is approaching you, ask you a question, yes, and we look. Now sometimes women tell me, listen, that woman that, my friend, I brought her to the lecture that you did over there, and my friend that spoke to you after the lecture, she had the black hat and the blue this and the black that. No, I don't know. No, woman that was there, I have no idea. No, but you were talking to her for 15 minutes. Yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea what you're talking about. Why? I wasn't looking at her. I was looking behind her. I'm looking at your face, but I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at Sutton. You think I'm looking at you, but I'm looking at Sutton. Why? I had to train myself to do that. I can't tell her, listen, hey, yes, ma'am, she's over here. Yes, ma'am, listen, I can't do that. She'll be offended because she has no idea what I'm doing. So I have to pretend like I'm looking at you to look at somebody behind you. And hope that behind you there's something really, really ugly or a wall. Why? I know if I look at you, it's fire. It's fire. I don't want to get burned. That's what you have to do. You want to go to Gan Eden? That's what you have to do. To look at a woman that's forbidden to you is an issur from the Torah. To look, forget about be with her. To look at a woman that's forbidden to you. If she is somebody else's wife, it's already Eshet Ish. If she's nida, she's not your wife, but she's not your wife. She's nida. She's not anybody's wife. Single woman. She's forbidden to you. Can't look at her. She's a goya, not Jewish woman. Forbidden to you. Looking at her, you're already violating the Torah. Now, what do? You deal with things in a polite way. Hello, and that's it. Whatever you need to do, cashier, yes, but 1 second, no staring. Sometimes I remember in business, there were certain weird women that would like to, when they talk to you, they talk like this, like they want to look at your eyes. Like, what are you looking for? The brain behind my eyes? There's some weird people that want to look at you like this, like, no, what, are you high? Is something wrong? No, don't do that. Don't do that. If it's a opposite gender, look, but then after that, train yourself to not stare at people. Why? You have to protect your eyes. Because if you don't protect your eyes, evil will come to you at night. What's evil? The Shlomo Melech already tells us, evil is wasting seed. So, when you understand that making this sin is fire, you will do whatever you can to avoid it. When you understand that non-kosher money is fire, you will do whatever you can to stop it. Rabbeinu Tam, the grandson of Rashi, one of the biggest giants in the world, every single day, every day of his life, he would read Parashat Kitavo, the scariest parasha in the Torah, specifically the section about who is cursed by Hashem. Cursed is the person who sins in hiding. Why is the person that sins in hiding cursed? Why isn't he just bad? Because the Chachamim explained to us, when you sin, when you do bad stuff, there are certain sins, there are certain bad things you would do, you're embarrassed to do it in front of somebody. You're not going to do it next to your wife. You're not going to do it next to your husband. If your husband's there, you're not going to do it. If your son is there, you're not going to do it. If your neighbor is there, you're not going to do it. If your boss is there, you're not going to do it. If the police officer is there, you're not going to do it. Sometimes there's certain sins, if a dog is there, you're not going to do it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, look, you wouldn't sit next to your wife, you wouldn't sit next to your husband, you wouldn't sit next to your neighbor, you wouldn't sit next to your boss, you wouldn't sit next to the dog. But you're sitting in front of me all the time. Aru, you're the worst. You're scared of everybody except me. that makes you cursed. If you made sins in public, you don't care about everybody. Hashem says, okay, you're a really bad person, but at least you're treating all of us equally. But when Hashem is the only one you're not scared of, come on. So that's the thing. When a person knows what the sin means, he understands that when Rabbeinu Tam would literally study Parashat Ki Tavo every single day of his life. Why? He says, I need Yirat Shamayim. I need to be scared of making sins. Yeah, but you're a big chacham. So? What, does that mean I have no Yetzirah? I have Yetzirah. Everybody has Yetzirah. You have to fight it. You have to fight the Yetzirah. You have to stay away from sins. Why? When you stay away from sins, your mitzvot become more enjoyable, your mitzvot become more natural, your mitzvot become part of you. But when you're making sins, even your mitzvot become defiled. Even your mitzvot become defiled. So that's one of the most critical things that a person needs to know. But again, you can't do tshuva for everything in one day. So each day, you choose something. Sometimes you may be 6 months or even 6 years working on one thing, because it's a big thing. You're working on your anger. That may take you 5-10 years to work on your anger. But work on it. As you get stronger with this, start adding other things that you're working on. But if you work on yourself every single day, you'll definitely improve your life, for sure. There's no doubt about it. Next. Almost done? No?
Is it a good thing if you study, let's say, on Gemara, all kinds of books, but you never pick up a Chumash to read the Chumash itself? Is that a good thing? Like you have no idea what's in the Chumash.
So you learned Gemara, but you never learned Chumash?
You learn all kinds of books, but you never pick up a Chumash, and you don't know what is in there.
So the Shulchan Aruch says that every Jew is obligated to read the Chumash every week in order to read the weekly parasha twice without commentary and once just a commentary. Meaning it's a halacha from the Shulchan Aruch that you have to do it. It's the minimum of learning Torah. Now, furthermore, Chachamim explained to us, it's impossible for you to become a Talmid Chacham or know anything of any value without learning Chumash. Further, Arav Shani, one of the Mekubalim in Eretz Yisrael, the grandson of the Ahavat Chaim, he said, when you understand the spiritual, mystical parts of the world, you know that when you learn Chumash, when you learn the weekly parasha, at the time it's supposed to be learned, it's not just for the sake of wisdom, it's not just for the sake of fulfilling the halacha, but because you're doing all of those things, you're creating certain angels that will help you that week. You're creating certain spiritual power for yourself at that time. Where if you don't do it, you're in essence missing out on a lot more than you can possibly imagine. Now, of course, a person must at some point learn other books as well, learn the Gemara and so on. But without learning the very basics and going straight to the high level, that means that you either don't have a rabbi and you've decided to become your own rabbi, or your rabbi is not really a rabbi. Because the minimum of minimum is to learn Chumash. That's how you begin. That's what you do throughout your entire life. Even the Mishnah in Avot that talks about what should be the seder of learning Torah, it starts with the Chumash before anything else. Why? Because that's the foundation of our Torah. It's the foundation of everything. Now, of course, if you learn Gemara, you will learn different parts that are from the written Torah. But you have to learn that in its time and the Chumash in its time. Everything has its time. Everything has its time. The Gemara is considered the highest level of wisdom. But you're not going to be able to understand the highest level of wisdom without understanding the foundation of all wisdom. So just jumping to the highest level is simply ridiculous. I mean, sometimes I hear things from new Baalei Tshuva, where they tell me, oh yeah, listen, Rabbi, I was just introduced to the Zohar. I was just introduced to the Kabbalah. So I'm going to study with my rabbi. Wait, hold on a second. Wait, you were just introduced to the Zohar? When did you do Tshuva? When did you convert? When did you even get introduced to God? What, 3, 4, 5 years ago? You're already going to the highest level? Either you're the biggest genius of the generation, or you're the biggest idiot. Most likely the latter. Most likely the latter. Why? Because even people that I know that read the entire Shas every year, entire Gemara, not Daf Yomi, the whole thing, twice, 3, 4 times a year, in 1 year. If you could finish it one time in your life, you're already a big shot. I'm talking about, I know people that finish it a few times a year. They don't read the Zohar. They don't read the Kabbalah. Why? They know it's above them. And they're not ready for it. But you haven't finished the Chumash yet with Rashi, you're going there. It's like you just got a janitor job at NASA, but you decided, you know what, let me try this, try my luck at building the rocket too. You don't know how to sweep, but you're going to build the rocket. Go ahead. I'm not going to be on that rocket though. I'm not going to be on that rocket. I don't trust you.
I try to explain that to
You cannot explain this to regular people that are doing it because their mind is so closed that unless it's coming from an authority figure that's their rabbi, they're not going to listen to anybody. They're not going to listen to anybody. Why? Because they've decided to be their rabbi. And that's why the Gemara says that someone who does not have a rabbi, God hates him. Why? Because there's an halacha. You have to have a rabbi. You have to have a rabbi that's going to remove you from the doubt. It's going to teach you certain things of what to do, what not to do, tell you when you're wrong, tell you when you're right. But if you decide to be your own rabbi, for sure you're going to make mistakes, and you're not going to be able to fix them because you don't know you're making mistakes. Because you're your own rabbi. Who's going to tell you? Yourself? So that's the problem. People that don't have a rabbi, you'll always see that it's a matter of time before they go astray really, really bad. Really, really horrible. Some people that are rabbis, that you see have changed drastically and have deteriorated dramatically with their teaching and with their understanding and even gotten to the point of becoming heretics, you'll see what happened. It's because their rabbi either died and they didn't replace him, or they stopped listening to their rabbi and they became their own rabbi. And you see that those people became complete heretics. Horrible. It's a sad thing, but it's a reality. It happens. So, one of the greatest things that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me is that He gave me a rabbi that I knew on day one, he is much better than I could ever be. If I study Torah for 1,000,000 years, I'm not going to be like Rabbi Ephraim. Never. It's never going to be. Why? Because he'll study for another 1,000,000 years also. And he'll be greater than I could ever be. Now, I knew this from day one. Now, despite my huge ego that's bigger than the world, I understood next to him, I'm 0, 0, 0, 0, and I will always be 0. Now, you guys may think I'm a big guy and great and all that stuff, but I know myself, I'm 0. 0. Now, in comparison to Rabbi Ephraim, and Rabbi Ephraim says to me, he is less than 0 next to Rabbi Ovadia. Less than 0. So if he is less than 0 next to Rabbi Ovadia, I'm already at negative. I'm a negative. Okay? Now, Rabbi Ovadia said himself, Rabbi Ovadia says, Alvai, I will be like the Chida one day. Chida from previous generation, a few 100 years before him, 200 years before him. Alvai, I'll be like him. Meaning, Rabbi Ovadia says, I am not like the Chida. Alvai, I can get to where he is. The Chida knew he's a nothing, he's a 0 next to the Rambam. The Rambam was not even qualified to be the student of Rabbi Akiva, because in order to be the student of Rabbi Akiva, you had to be able to resurrect the dead. Look at someone and pretty much pick him up. That's it, he's alive. Because you pray to Hashem and that's it, alive on the spot. Alive on the spot. Anyone that's was a student of Rabbi Akiva, resurrects the dead. Anyone that's mentioned by name in the Gemara was able to resurrect the dead. Rambam wasn't able to resurrect the dead. Even though he did many, many miracles and different things, wasn't able to resurrect the dead at will. Not happening. He wasn't qualified. The Rambam wasn't qualified to be a Talmid of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva, he was the Talmid of Rabbi Eliezer ben Holkenos. Rabbi Eliezer ben Holkenos, the Torah that he had, they said you could literally, if you took, he said himself, if you took the entire ocean, which is 72% of the globe, 72% of the globe is water, took all of that water and in essence it became ink. And then you took all the trees and turned them into pens to use that ink. And all of the land turned into paper. You wouldn't be able to write the Torah that Rabbi Eliezer ben Holkenos knew in his head. And Rabbi Eliezer ben Holkenos says, and all of that Torah that I know, there's not enough space in the world to fit, is not even a lick of a dog in the water of the ocean, next to my rabbis. You know, imagine a dog comes to lick the water in the ocean, to drink. Does it make an impact on the ocean? Nothing. He says, all that Torah that I know is not even that lick from that dog, next to my rabbis. Who's the rabbi? Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai. Doesn't reach it. Nothing. Zero. And guess what? Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai was not even a prophet. You go to the prophets, talk to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, face to face. Yechezkel, Zechariah, Ishaya. Talk to HaKadosh Baruch Hu face to face. Daniel. Gemara says if the generation of Daniel, Mashiach came, it would be Daniel. David HaMelech, HaKadosh Baruch Hu spoke to him, says, David, by the way, you're the fourth of the Merkavah. Everything David HaMelech says became halacha. Everything we say, not exactly halacha. And guess what? Everyone I just mentioned is a zero next to Moshe Rabbeinu. So, do you understand? So when someone thinks of themselves in the right perspective, they realize how much of a zero they are. Why? Because Moshe Rabbeinu has psukim in the Torah where it says he was the humblest of all. So if the greatest of all, that's part of our 13 principles of faith, to remind ourselves every day that he was the greatest of all. The one that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Moshe Avdi, Moshe my servant, Isha Elokim, the man of God. I spoke to Moshe face to face like a friend. If he himself thought of himself as nothing, V'anachnu ma, he said on himself, we are nothing. Moshe Rabbeinu said, I'm nothing. If he is nothing, you go back to what I just said, starting with me. Where am I? Where am I? Bichlal? Do you understand? So that's the thing. The more a person learns, the more he realizes how much of a nothing he is in comparison to the rabbis that came before him. If a person thinks he's a big deal, that means that he's not connected to all of those great people that I just mentioned. He's not connected at all. He's starting something new. A new religion, a new ideology. You're not connected. Why? Because all of the greatest people I've ever mentioned to you, all of them were humble. All of them thought of themselves as nothings. I'm actually really a nothing, but they actually were great something, and they thought of themselves as nothing. The more of a nothing you think of yourself, the more of a possibility that you're something. But the more of something that you think you are, for sure you're a nothing. And that's the thing. When somebody skips and just says, no, I'm not going to study Chumash. I'm not going to study that. I'm going to go straight to the source. And foolish people send me messages all the time. Yeah, God talks to me. God talks to me. Yeah, I get messages from him. I get messages from him. You know, he talks to me. You know, he tells me things. Like, go to a mental institution, please. Get yourself out of the misery. Put some drugs in your system. You know, chaval, you're living like this, thinking God talks to you. Probably somebody talks to you, but it's definitely not God. Shedim. They like to torture people, so they make you think that you're talking to God sometimes. Why? Yeah, all the tum'ah that you created in the world, all the filth that you created in the world, you think that God's talking to you. People are ludicrous with the things that they say. You have to understand. Torah is not given to anyone just for no reason. You have to be willing to kill yourself for it. That's what Resh Lakish says at the end of Masechet Brachot. You want to inherit Torah, you have to be willing to die for it. But not die for it. No, I'm going to jump off a bridge. No. Die for it meaning your whole life. Learn. Fight for it. Every opportunity. Give everything for it. Invest everything into it. All your time, all your money, all your heart, all your everything. Why? It is everything. But you think you can just skip everything, you're going to make a new thing? Can't help people like this. Simply cannot help people like this. Because they're so far removed from reality that it's like, what do you do with such a person? Nothing you can do with them. Only way that such a person comes back to reality is when Hashem rebukes them and they realize that they really are nothing. And that eventually happens. Hopefully it's not too late. Next question. We're almost done. Maybe one question. So. Yeah?
I always hear that Mashiach has to come by the year 6,000. What is the source for that?
So the world was created in such a fashion that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us a certain system of how he runs the world. And he said that this world, the Gemara says it in Masechet Shabbat, and I believe in a few other places, that this world will exist for 6,000 years. Just like this is the 7,000 world, this is the last of the worlds that Hashem created. Hashem created other worlds before this. We don't have very much knowledge about what those worlds and what happened in those worlds, but nonetheless, this is the last of the worlds. And this world will exist for a total of 7,000 years, but the last 1,000, from 6,000 to 7,000, will be the days of Mashiach, where the Mashiach is actually already here, ruling the world, and so on. Complete peace, no war, and so on. But this world, if you will exist for a maximum of 6,000 years. Now, so people think that means that Mashiach is going to come at the year 6,000. Wrong. Why is it wrong? Because the sages teach us in the Gemara and many other places that the Mashiach will come before Shabbat. So what does that mean? It's not before Shabbat the day, rather before Shabbat the year. So we know from Tehillim that David HaMelech tells us that every 1,000 years is considered a day in the eyes of Hashem. So, first 1,000, we're at 5780. So the first 1,000 of 5,000, that's Sunday. Yom Rishon, that's how the week starts. Second 1,000, Monday. Third 1,000, Tuesday. 4,000, Wednesday. 5,000, we've completed Thursday. Right? That's the first 5,000. But then we have 780. Now 750 is 3/4 of 1,000. So that means that we are 3/4 of the 24 hours, which is the 18th hour. That's already 6 p.m. on Friday. 6 p.m. on Friday, plus there's some change. It's 750, but it's 780 right now. So every 41 years is an hour. So right now we are almost at 7 p.m. on Friday. And the Chachamim tell us that the Mashiach has to come before Shabbat. So the year 6,000 is already far into Shabbat. Because Shabbat doesn't start at midnight. Day starts at 12:01 a.m. Shabbat doesn't start at midnight. Shabbat starts 7:30. Throughout the year, it changes a little bit. Sometimes as early as 4 o'clock. Sometimes as late as, let's say, 8:30. But nonetheless, on the average, it's around 7. Meaning that, Ototo is coming. He's coming. Right? It's almost Shabbat. So the mistake that people make is they think that the Mashiach will come at the year 6,000. That's a mistake. The issue is that the world itself will exist for 6,000 years in this capacity and then change form, if you will, for the last 1,000 years. This time is the days of Mashiach, where we are in the final stages before the war of Gog and Magog will start. and get to the, it already started, but get to the culmination point, which is the final stage that the Gaon Vilna says will last 9 minutes. Somebody says 11, but either way, everybody knows it's a very small amount of time, where 2/3 of the world are going to die according to the prophecy by Zechariah in chapter 14. Then during that time of Mashiach is going to come, and some part of the last third that's left in the world will survive. Not all of them, but some parts of them will survive. So all of that is going to happen over a period of time. After this war is completed, there's going to be 7 years that it's going to take to bury all the bodies. And 40 years after Mashiach comes, there's going to be the resurrection of the dead. All of the tzaddikim that have ever lived will be resurrected 40 years after Mashiach comes. So there's going to be certain things that happen. Now, this is all going to happen soon. It's not going to happen at the year 6000. It's going to be before that. So, but some people think that it's the year 6000 because of what I just explained, which they mistake and misunderstand, that the existence of this world in its current nature will last that long. But once we get to that 7000 year, the nature of the world, if you will change to some extent. Even though the Rambam writes that there's still going to be basic ways of the world that remain, there is going to be a different nature to the world also. So it's going to be some parts the same, some parts very, very, very different. But nonetheless, there's not going to be any more Yetzirah in the last 1,000 years. So it's going to be quite a different world. B'ezrat Hashem, we will live to see it. Last question, and then we can call it the week.
Just connecting with that you said, on last week on Parsha, there was a commentary in the Chumash that it says that in the whole Tanakh, there's only 5 times that Yaakov's name has an extra vav. And there's only 5 times that Eliah's name is missing a vav. And it says that it means that when Elijah comes to announce Mashiach, Yaakov is going to return those vows. So I was thinking there's been 4 exiles. Does that mean there's going to be one more exile?
We're in it. We're in the last stages. We're in the days of the end of days. We're in the last stages. The last exile has been the longest and most difficult out of all, because the first one was a couple hundred years. Then we had the destruction of Beit HaMikdash, second Beit HaMikdash. But the last exile is the 2,000 years of darkness that we've had. Of course, there's been periods of time where we did better than others. There was a time that we were doing really, really well in Spain. But then the Spanish Inquisition came. There was a time that we were doing really, really well in Germany. And then the Holocaust came. And there's a time that we were doing okay in Israel. And now came. So the point is that there's a time that we're doing really well in America. And again, now came. So things were good at times. It wasn't all bad. But nonetheless, we never had the true salvation throughout all of that time. We're still, even if you live in Eretz Yisrael, you're still considered like you're living in the exile. We're still in that part. But nonetheless, once the Mashiach comes, all of that will end. And each person will be judged for wherever he's at that time. There's no more tshuva once the Mashiach comes. So a person has to already prepare now for when the Mashiach comes, or perhaps for when, if a person dies, because that's also the same thing. He's going to be judged at that moment. There's no more tshuva after you die. So every person needs to do whatever they can to do tshuva. A lot of times people tell me, I pray for the Mashiach come. I don't know, well, the sages that I just talked about, they were scared for the Mashiach to come, because they didn't think they were ready. When you're praying for the Mashiach to come, that means that you think that you're ready. Either you are the biggest tzaddik in the generation, or you're completely ignorant of what it means for the Mashiach to come. And you should know, you expect the Mashiach to come. You have to believe the Mashiach is going to come, but there's no actual obligation for you to want him to come. You want him to come for the sake of sanctifying Hashem's name, but it's not necessarily, that's not the 13 principles of faith. You just have to believe he's going to come, and you have to get yourself ready for him to come. Because even the sages in the Gemara Masechet Sanhedrin says that I want the Mashiach to come, just not when I'm alive. Which in essence, you want Hashem's name to be sanctified, just you don't want to deal with the real tragedy that's going to happen beforehand. But we are at that time where pretty much this is the last train for everyone. Whatever life a person has, this is it. There's no more reincarnation, there's no more nothing. So everybody has their last chance. And everybody has to literally pray for Kadosh Baruch Hu to give them all the strength and willpower that they need in order to complete their tshuva while they're alive. That's what you have to pray for the most. For you to do tshuva. Then after that, for Am Yisrael to do tshuva. Which includes your parents, your brothers, your sisters, your spouse, your kids, all of Klal Yisrael that you don't know. You have to pray for Am Yisrael to do tshuva. But not just pray, do something about it. Help people do tshuva, share the lectures, sponsor kiruv, do all types of things that are going to help Am Yisrael do tshuva. Because when you help other people do good, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give you strength to do good. Why? Because it's midah keneged midah. It's measure for measure. It's measure for measure. You help Hashem's other children, Hashem will help your children. And that's the biggest gift that you could possibly get. And that's why the Chachamim always try to teach us different things for our prayers to get answered. Different tools. And there's a sgula that you're allowed to use that I just learned today for you. From Rabbi Ephraim, that one of the Gdolei Ador in the previous generation, Rav Mordechai Eliyahu, taught that when a couple came to Rav Mordechai Eliyahu and they told him, Rabbi, we need special prayer for salvation to come, something good to come, whether it was parnasah or children or whatever it was, what should we do? So Rav Mordechai Eliyahu says that you should accept on yourself a very big mitzvah, but fulfill it. Don't accept on yourself something and don't do it. Because the Mishnah says, anyone that makes promises and breaks them, Hashem will, the same God that destroyed the generation of the flood will destroy him too. It's not good to break promises, especially not promises to Hashem. So, if you're not keeping Shabbat, that should be your first promise, you have to do it. If you're still wasting seed, that should be a promise, you got to do it. You got to start doing everything possible to protect your brit. Everything possible to protect your brit. If you're not eating kosher, then you got to eat kosher. And so on and so forth. Make a big promise. Make a big acceptance on yourself. I'm going to do this. You don't have to say, I am making a neder. Bottom line is, make a big commitment. From now on, I'm doing this. From now on, I'm going to give tzedakah. From now on, I'm going to do this. From now on, I'm going to give maaser. From now on, I'm going to do kiruv. From now on, I'm going to learn Torah a few hours a day. From now on, I'm going to take something big. After that, after you take on something big, you say that I'm doing this big mitzvah for the ilui nishma, for the elevation of the soul, that will bring this mitzvah, this request of mine that I have for salvation, for the ilui nishma of that neshama that brings this request to Hashem himself. So the couple said to Rav Mordechai Eliyahu, but Rabbi, we always pray for, for the sake of ilui nishma of Rabbi Meir Baal HaNes, Rabbi Shimon, all of these big sages. He says, yes, it's good, but it's better if you do take on a big mitzvah for the elevation of the soul that will bring this request of yours to Hashem himself. This is why. This is because the neshamot that are in heaven now, there's one thing that they suffer in. What do they suffer? They cannot do anything for Hashem anymore. They cannot elevate themselves even more. So they look for opportunities to do something for Hashem. So now you're going to say, listen, for the neshama that brings my mitzvah, my request to Hashem, I'm going to do this mitzvah. What's going to happen? The neshamot that are looking to do good for Hashem are going to fight over who's going to bring your mitzvah to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You're creating competition in heaven. That's a good competition. It's good competition. And that's Rav Mordechai Eliyahu says, it's a very good thing to do, but again, make sure you deliver on your promise. And make sure it's not like one of these like little Tic Tac candy promises. Oh yeah, from now on I'm going to give $1 to the homeless guy. That's not a promise. It has to be a serious mitzvah. And deliver on your mitzvah. If you fail one day, try again the next day. Don't just decide that just because you failed once, you're always going to be a failure. Do whatever you can to deliver, and you'll see big, big things happen in your life. But again, it always has to be based on a solid foundation. You have to have a Rav. You have to have a Seder Limud, a certain type of learning that you're doing every day. If you're just starting out, it should be mainly Shiurim. After a little while, you start learning the Chumash and other books. After a little while after that, you start learning Gemara, and so on. But the point being is that everything has to have a solid foundation of the Torah Kedosha. That way, you'll be able to enjoy life just like the sages that enjoyed this world like it was heaven because their mind was already in heaven. Be'ezrat Hashem, one day we will reach that mindset. We'll reach the mindset of our forefathers. We'll reach the mindset of the sages, like Kedoshim, Be'ezrat Hashem, and sanctify Kadosh Baruch Hu's name to the highest level. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen.